This woman thinks it's cool to put fish hooks in hot dogs and lay them out in her yard so that unsuspecting dogs end up eating them and then losing their lives.
Oh yeah, that sounds definitely safe, sound, sane, and calm and reasonable, you know? If this woman is totally not sociopathic, I'm pretty sure she's a very nice lady in real life.
She's doing this because she's frustrated that dogs keep coming into her yard, so her and her landlord devised a plan to put the fish hooks in the hot dogs and lay them out.
Wow, so the landlord is in on this brilliant plan as well, you know? Instead of the landlord and herself probably investing into some kind of makeshift fence, or maybe putting up a poster saying, private property, don't want your dogs on it, or maybe just talking to the dogs owners, telling them to keep their dogs off her property, she and her landlord, who are totally not sociopaths by the way, just decide to go to the most extreme thing and basically said, F those dogs. They gotta die.
You can see she posted this on Snapchat, bragging about it, and then she's now in the comment sections over on Facebook basically saying, I tried to be nice and now I'm going to be mean, and until dogs stop coming in my yard, there will continue to be hot dogs with fish hooks in them.
See, ladies and gentlemen, these are the people roaming amongst us. I don't know the clinical term for going to the most extreme solution for very minimal problems, but genuinely speaking, this is why I have trust issues. And even in this image that she allegedly posted to her own Snapchat, she said, basically exposing herself with the hot dogs and the hooks in them, the fishing hooks, with a caption, when you and your landlord are sick of all the dogs constantly tearing out the trash, so she puts out a treat for them. 3 crying emojis, by the way, followed up by hashtag hook wieners. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I just gotta say, these people deserve serious prison time for this. If any dogs have died by this. She also said on Instagram or Facebook, her name is Paige Alexandra Brock. She said, so I even asked for another form of advice to handle the dogs, but y'all haven't replied to that. I've tried all the quote-unquote safe and nice ways as well, and the authorities, so I guess she called the police as well. She also said if someone can give me some genuine advice on how to keep dogs away from my yard, then they will get thrown away. I don't necessarily like the idea of the dogs suffering either, but I am sick of them. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just gotta say, for some reason, I get it, she's having some kind of land dispute. Dogs are entering onto her private property and she hates it, I get it. But when did she come to the conclusion that literally sabotaging food, leaving bait on her property with sharp hooked objects in them was the right thing to do? Not only do I believe it is reprehensible and immorally wrong, but it is also very illegal, I believe, given the intent she has exposed while doing this.
Now, I am the first one to state, if you own a dog, it is your responsibility to keep them on a leash on your property and out of other people's yards. At the same time, this is illegal. This is animal cruelty. Her name is, by the way, the woman who's doing this, her name is Paige Alexandra Brock, and she's doing this together with her landlord. Both her and her landlord are the ones who devised this plan, and they think that it's a solid option.
I just gotta say, why not just get a fence? Like, I get it can be a tough situation to be in if you literally have neighbors who keep allowing their dogs onto your land when you don't want that. Especially, like, let's say, to play devil's advocate, if you have your kid out there, a toddler or a cat or small animals that can be injured by these dogs, of which you don't know, I completely understand. And in my opinion, there are better ways of doing this than literally potentially murdering them. You know, I believe for situations like this, if it really is bad, you can get like a shock stick. I know that sounds crazy. Potentially get your own dog so that other dogs know to stay away. Maybe if she hasn't already, talk to her neighbors and let them know the legal ramifications of allowing their dogs to go onto your land without permission. Possibly once again building a fence. Call the cops. Find the owners, call animal control. Somebody else's dog, not on a leash, comes on your property. Go get the dog, assuming they're not a danger to you. Put them in a kennel and then call animal control. If the owners don't want to control their animals or their dogs, then at that point, call the authorities, 911, law enforcement, or animal control. Have them come take that dog and let the owner deal with the rest. But what you cannot do is premeditate potential murder of a dog because you're annoyed that they're coming on your lawn.
So if you live in the Mississippi, it's Booze Cheeto. I don't know how to say that, but this is the name of the town where she's residing. If you are in this neighborhood or in this town and you know this woman, if you live next to this woman and you have dogs, beware. okay? Because this is what's going on over there. Again, Mississippi, this is the name. Her name is Paige Alexandra Brock.
So as you just heard, Paige Alexandra Brock. And of course, you know, people in the comment section are saying, fence, maybe a fence would help. Another person said, and she'll say she's Christian. I bet, shake my head. I don't know, maybe. A lot of crazy people tend to have the Christian cross in their bios, followed by Christ is King or some shit. This is very common. Another commenter said, is she still employed? Asking for the chat. Another person said, animal abuse. Call the local authorities. Another person said, and I quote, I don't like to see dogs suffer, either, quoting her, followed up by saying, but posted laughing faces all over her post, bragging about baiting dogs like this. Girl, what? I mean, yeah, that's just typical sociopathic behavior, I swear. Another person said, this woman has children? Hopefully not. Another person said, one thing is, as you say, owning a dog gives you our responsibility. I think they meant owning a dog gives you the responsibility to keep the dog on a leash, etc. But accidents happen. However, there are other animals too, without a leash or owners, natural living in this world amongst us. Exactly. So leaving out that particular bait is crazy because, you know, especially in Mississippi, what's the wildlife out there? Deer, bear, opossums, fox, raccoons. Like, you know, you're pretty much going to end up, if they eat that and swallow it, killing them too. Literally swallowing a fish hook. I mean, for an animal, much less for a human being who has access to a hospital to, you know, get that cleared out. That would be painful. For an animal, that's basically a death sentence. But they're going to say which would eat the hot dogs as well. They are also being killed now. So this is not even targeting dogs only, but any meat eating animal slash bird, etc. big enough to eat those small hot dog pieces fast. But of course, do you think she cares about that? People like this, they don't think things through. They're very dangerous, sociopathic, extreme, violent, highly impulsive individuals who tend to have dark triad traits, narcissistic traits, me. Whatever impacts me is bad. If it's negative, and if it doesn't benefit me, I need to cut it out my life with no compromises, no negotiations. Now, to be fair, she did imply her and her landlord did try to, I guess, reach out to local authorities, that they didn't help, neighbors maybe. I'm not sure the conversations she's had with her landlord and other people in the vicinity, but this is just crazy. You can't do that at all. In my opinion, this is literally premeditated murder. And as you can see here, somebody tagged her Instagram page by the name of _Delilah's.mommy. And as you can see here, she has kids. I'm assuming based off of the AI image here, a baby and another girl followed by her. Yeah, she definitely has kids based off of this bio. So honestly, again, in her defense, if she has a little one roaming around outside and dogs are coming onto her property, not knowing what type of breeds those are, potentially it could put her kids in danger. We all understand the dangers of big dogs and little kids. In my situation, if I had a repeated problem and nobody to turn to, right? As she implied, she called the cops, they didn't help, but just to play devil's advocate, if I called the cops, they didn't help. If I called animal control, they didn't help. If I talked to my neighbors, they didn't help, and explained my situation and nobody's helping me, the only option I have left is to exterminate the threat before that threat threatens my children. But that is just in the most extreme situation, right? Assuming I've already exhausted all my other options. At that point, if I have to kill a dog to defend my children's lives, I will do so. But the way she's going about it, I don't even think it's even gotten to that point yet. Especially considering the laughing emojis she put after her message on Snapchat talking about the plan her and her landlord devised together. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below about this. What do you think? Another person also said, this is a violation of Mississippi law under the Mississippi Dog and Cat Protection Law. Intentionally harming or attempting to harm a domesticated dog, including baiting them with items designed to injure, torture, and kill, is considered animal cruelty if done with malice. It qualifies as aggravated cruelty, which is a felony in the state of Mississippi. Placing fish hooks inside hot dogs with the intent to injure, which is why I brought up intent before, or kill dogs, fits the definition of intentional torture or maiming under this statute. This needs to be investigated and addressed immediately by the appropriate authorities. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thoughts and opinions down below. What do you think about this? We're probably gonna have mixed opinions and comments down below. Hopefully I gave a fair analysis or opinion about this situation. You know, if these are small dogs, that's one thing, but if they're like wild roaming dogs, you know, dogs without a leash, that is a problem, especially if you have small children on your land. If that was a repeated thing, it would probably escalate to like legal shit, me and my neighbors having a real fucking problem. Not gonna lie, but I don't think she even explored all her options, to be honest. But anyway, feel free to air all your opinions down below. If you want to send me any other videos or topics, you already know what to do. Tag me on TikTok or Instagram. And yeah, catch you all in the next one.